You've heard me talk about the ceiling, the floating, the moment your brain forgets where it left you. Tonight, I'm not doing this one alone. I've got a friend joining me, someone who isn't working off research papers and secondhand lab reports like I was. Michael's actually lived pieces of this, the floating, the paralysis, the thing at the foot of the bed. It isn't supposed to be there. So tonight's a little different. I'm bringing the neuroscience. He's bringing the experience. And somewhere in the middle of those two things, we're going to try and figure out where the science ends and something else might start. Michael, welcome to the show. Let's get into it.
Thank you. Thank you for having me. And I gotta say real quick though, is that 30-second countdown through StreamYard or is that
That's
did you develop?
StreamYard. No, I gotta develop one once I hopefully. So I was telling Michael, I'm still working on a laptop here in Sicily. Hopefully this week, maybe by next week at the latest. Hopefully, it's the military. I keep getting told different things. I will actually have my computer set up, and I can actually sit down and do my actual stuff on my actual computers. And like I told him, I'm gonna sit down and make an intro
Oh
compared to
no.
using StreamYard's
I, I was
generic.
actually impressed by it
No,
because
that's
when I
StreamYard. Yeah,
first
I
did
gotta
it,
go
it
on.
was just like it was just a countdown with like a little boom, like little sound effect here or there. When I started with it, it's like now it's got all this movement. I was like, man, it actually has gotten a lot better.
Oh, it's a StreamYard. So I was like, yeah, that's hard to move away because that's so impressive for them. Just like the countdown to get into the 30 seconds compared to just say, when I used to do the whole press live and here I am. Now it's a countdown.
Yeah, but yeah, and so one thing though I want to kind of clarify is I have actually not experienced paralysis, but I have had a guest on my show who did a book about sleep paralysis. And so she and I had a great conversation about it, and I learned a lot about it. So I am happy to share that information from her being an experiencer.
That's the one reason why I called Michael for this. It is someone who, if I would like him to be a recurring guest because he's so knowledgeable. It just depends if he has the time because he has his own show, has his own life. We're just talking about like how he probably it probably feels like to him that he does a dozen shows a week. It probably feels like that, doesn't it?
It does sometimes, and sometimes I'm like, I'll look at my schedule and I'm like, I did a show every day this week, even though I didn't do a show every day this week because some of them I double up now on certain days. And so I'm like, I did 7 episodes in 6 days. Wow. How did I pull that off? Or in 5 days, it's like when I do it in 5 days, I'm like, oh, I need a break. I
Yeah.
need a day to sleep because yeah, there's so much energy that goes into podcasting that people don't know about, but that's a show for another time. Let's get into astral projection because this is a topic
Yeah.
I
Let me go
love
ahead.
talking about.
Like I was saying before, I did an episode. My last episode was on this. So I'm just going to go ahead and, I mean, obviously, if any listeners out there who want to, you want more of the details on this, I'm just going by a little of the summaries of the facts of my last episode, and then he can give you the real life experience. I really can't. I have like almost one experience, and I'll get into that after I say like the fact notes from kind of last time. So, for roughly 4,000 years, cultures independently landed on the soul leaves the body during sleep as the explanation for the floating ceiling sensation. And how I actually got into this whole, because I know you and I were on a podcast before where we talked about the astral projection, astral travel, and stuff similar to that. I started diving. I was going to do one subject, and that's one thing me and Michael were talking about. We both do random subjects on the paranormal now, deep diving. this subject came up because I was going to do one subject, but then something on my feed came up where someone claims that scientists are now proving that every time you go to sleep, your soul leaves your body, and they haven't figured out what they do there. So of course I looked into it to see, well, did scientists ever think they figure out once your soul leaves your body during your sleep what it does? I have not seen anything of them actually proving that every time you go to sleep, everyone's soul leaves the body. So I guess that's just someone's theory.
Well, and what's interesting about that statement too is scientists, last time I checked and looked into science and the medical, they were still trying to prove there's where the soul even is, if there
Yeah,
even is really a
they're still
soul.
doing
So
that.
how they are determining a soul leaves when you sleep now, it's kind of interesting because then that means they've found and figured out where the soul is, which they claim they haven't. So it gets confusing. How are they now stating this? And it's like, it seems like, and this is my opinion, folks, and they seem to gravitate towards topics that are popular in people's minds and try to justify them by throwing something out there that sounds really good and sounds really professional, using big words that really nobody knows what that means because they're the only ones that use it, and therefore they're like jumping on the bandwagon and saying, yes, we're able to prove this because of this. And it's like, wait, huh? And so science, you have your place, you have your, lane, and I love science, like quantum science and everything, how it's evolving. And I'm proud of you guys for evolving. But if you're going to make a statement, you got to be able to prove the whole statement and not just parts of it. So, with that being said, that's my little side note about science. I share that because now you're going to understand where I come from as the experiencer, because I don't use science. And so, wow, where were we? I totally got lost on the tangent.
We're talking about how some scientists are trying to have claim
Oh,
that they prove that everyone, when you go to sleep, your soul leaves your body, and they're like, we kind of we saw like it's on a plane that is on Earth but isn't on Earth kind of thing, where it's like you know what I mean, where it gets us
right.
another yeah.
Okay.
They're trying to figure out what the soul does once it reaches there, and they're also saying like when people wake up and you kind of like jolt awake or whatever, you feel like they say that's your body, that's supposed to be like your soul ran back and jumped into your body but like miscalculated and kind of over jumped or whatever.
All
That is what some scientists are saying. Some. I haven't actually
So,
found this out. I've not found this research on this yet, but I have heard they have come up on my feed of people claiming this. So
so here's the okay. So here's the interesting thing from experience. Yes, anyone can astral project. There is no magic or science behind it. The only thing is you have to just be aware and open to the possibility. Now, with that being said, just because you can doesn't mean you should. And I know that seems like a contradictory statement to be like everybody can, but everybody shouldn't. It's not a judgment, it's more of a cautionary tale because the astral realm is a realm of shadow. places, there's realms where you can create whatever you want to create. You can go experience different worlds, different cultures, different group of beings. You can travel and see the planet without, needing to buy a plane ticket. The options are unlimited what you can do on the astral. Now, this is where it comes into why some people shouldn't. If you go into, say, a shadow realm, you can get stuck there because that is an area where your energy will get siphoned off. And a popular term right now about that is called looshing, where an entity is feeding off of your energy and you're being drained. Well, they operate mainly out of the shadow zone of the astral. It's not a place of darkness or a place of working. It's just a place where e- entities or beings that don't have your best interest tend to hang out. So, I guess, yeah, you could say it is the bad zone of the astral realm, but you go there by choice. It's not like you are just going and it just poofs right in front of you. You kind of gotta, intentionally be drawn in there. And believe me, they will pull all kinds of stunts to draw you in there, from like loved ones calling out to you, even, and it's not your loved ones calling out to you. They can mimic and bring you in, and so you got to be very careful where you're going. And if you wake up and you are feeling really drained, it's probably because you passed by or through one of these zones. Another thing that can happen is, and this is going to sound so like Hollywood, but it's a real thing. If you get in a fight in the astral realm, like a fist fight, you will wake up and your body will have bruises and sore spots from where you took hits. Your body, when your spirit returns into the body reacts to the spirit and it's like, okay, so if you broke your arm, I'm not saying your body is now going to break its arm to match what's going on with your spirit form. No. But what's going to happen is if you go to pick up a glass, you're not going to be able to pick anything up because your arm is going to feel like so sore. You're going to think it is broken, even though it's not broken, because of what happened in the astral. So things that happen in the astral can show up in the body. Now, a lot of people like to go, well, they'll say, so what if you die in the astral? You may very well die here because the spirit is not returning to the body and the body needs the spirit. They are working in combination. So
Mm-hmm. I've heard of
there
that.
is that distinct possibility of, yeah, you die in the astral, you die on the earth realm. Now, I also, want to say those are like the rarities of what can happen. I just wanted you all to be aware of them. What most likely will happen for you is you could go to the moon. You could go, if you're in America, go check out Europe or go check out, the Mediterranean. Go check out the beach. If you're living in a desert, it's like you can go wherever you want to go. And how the astral world works is you think it, therefore it happens. So if you think to yourself, man, I totally need to relax. Oh, being on a beach, sunset would be so relaxing right now. You're going to find yourself on a beach at sunset. because that's where you put out that you wanted to go to. And so that is part of the charm, and I think why everybody likes to say I can astral project and astral travel is because they're like, I get to see the world. Even though chances are, like, let's say, for example, me being in Texas, chances are I'm probably never going to make it to Australia because that's a 17-hour flight, I think. I'm like, yeah, not really, feeling that. Well, instead of pain, suffering through the flight, I can just astral project to Australia and experience it and be like, yeah, this place is like they show in the books, or wow, this is even better than what they show in the books. But the point is, you can travel freely, and people may see you, people may not. And that's, you know, I can't explain why sometimes they do, sometimes they don't. But you can literally, even here's the really cool part. Let's say you wanted to check out the Titanic and be like, hey, is the Titanic really down there? You could actually astral project into the ocean and be standing on that Titanic. And I guarantee you, the first thought in your mind is you're going to panic because you're like, oh my God, I'm underwater. How am I going to breathe? Because you don't realize you don't breathe in the astral. So you can be sitting there underwater, walking around, and the pressure means nothing. The factor in water means nothing. You are walking around as if you're on land, free as a bird, because there is virtually no limitations to what you can do in the astral plane. And it is simply done by acknowledging that you can leave the body and not panic. A lot of times, what happens is when you start going to sleep and you start floating above the body, some people will either go, oh my God, I'm dying. Is this like dying? And will panic and go back into their body and be like, nope, going in. And then they go into lucid dreaming instead. Or they will sit there and go, well, okay, I'm outside of my body, but I don't know how to move, so I'm stuck in this room. And they'll only
Mhm.
stay in their room because they don't understand to think about going somewhere else. They feel like can't go anywhere because how am I going to get back? What if somebody moves my body? It's like your spirit. Sorry, a squirrel just went by. Your body spirit tethers through an invisible cord to the body. So no matter how far you go, where you go, you'll always be able to return. That kind of is a myth of if somebody stole my body from my house and moved it like say 3 cities over while I'm asleep, I guarantee you they ain't gonna get very far with my body while I'm in the astral plane, because the second I feel any movement on my body, you are right out of the astral plane, right back in your body. And that is one thing I will say the scientists actually are correct on. If, let's say, for example, I was visiting Amanda and I'm asleep, I'm astral projecting, and she's like, oh my God, something's going on. I need to wake him up. I need to wake him up. And she comes and she starts shaking me to go, you need to wake up. I'm gonna slam into my body because I'm like, something's going on. I need to get there quick. And yes, it does hurt. It's like what it feels like is the equivalency of like 10 semi trucks slamming you into a brick wall. It
You wake
is
up
not.
sore.
Oh, you wake up, you could barely move because you came in so hard that your body doesn't even hasn't really registered it's all there. It's like it's in shock of what just happened. And so you literally are like frozen for a few seconds until the body's like, oh, we can work. But then it's like, yes, this hurts because we're not used to this being slammed in. And so that is actually a thing. You can be slammed into your body. And
That's interesting.
so, yeah,
Yeah, Egypt has the belief of the Ka, which is basically the same thing. Roams during sleep, returns by morning.
it is. And the interesting thing about it is when you hear like people saying, oh, I saw the gods, or oh, I saw this angel while I was asleep. Well, chances are they really did because in their astral, they probably were sitting there going, oh, I have a question for so and so, and went to visit them and went to where they are. And here's where metaphysics and science can't match up. And that is so in April, I lost my mom. In June of 2023, I lost my dad. And you will hear me say on shows, I lost the physicality because this is where metaphysics kicks in and kind of throws science to the dirt, so to speak, in astral traveling perspective. Is I can be in the astral plane and go, hey, mom, hey, dad, got a question for you. And I will see them right in front of me as they are. They are not gone. They're just in another form. Now, now that they transitioned on, they went from one form to another. So they're not gone. And I can still communicate with them. I have full belief in that. I've had experiences to where I had a friend who told me things about my dad that she didn't know. And this was like 3 or 4 days after he had transitioned on. So I'm like, they're still around and I can still talk with them. And so yeah, it's almost like time travel is even possible. I can sit there and think, hey, what really happened at Gettysburg? I can be floating above the Battle of Gettysburg, July 1st to the 3rd, no problem. And nobody would ever like see me because I'm like, who's gonna look up in the sky, so to speak? Because
Mm-hmm.
in the astral plane, newsflash, you're not. There's no gravity, so you're not limited to the ground. You can be hovering above the ground and be in the sky looking down on events. And you can go and look at any event in history, past, present, or future. You can actually even astral project to the future. The only thing is, you have to be open to what you see because what you read in a book may not be what's going to unfold in front of you.
Mm-hmm.
And
I've heard
so,
that.
if you're not prepared for that, then, maybe you should look at, sticking around somewhere else and maybe not going to time travel. But the other thing, too, though, as much as, like, we talked earlier about you can be hurt on the astral plane, you cannot alter history on the astral plane. And what I mean by that is, the notion of, going back and stopping Kennedy from being assassinated. Or, hey, the bomb that hit, that was supposed to take out Hitler that missed. Let's make it work. It won't stick because you're an energy looking at an event in the past. So whatever you do isn't going to do anything because you're not actually there, and you can't manipulate the past. Now, that is normal astral projection. There actually is a form of astral projection that some organizations have found, and I'll just leave it at that term for right now, where they actually can go back in time and change events. And that's why we are kind of having Mandela effects right now, is timelines are being manipulated, and it's causing confusion amongst people because, like, I have memory of both Mandela deaths, and I can't reconcile which one was the accurate death of, was it the decade before or the decade after?
Yeah.
I'm like, I don't know, because I have memory of both distinctly. And so that's the problem. And that's why I say, there's manipulations to timelines going on, is people will remember things differently than other people. And it's not the problem of, where we say, oh, memory is, fallible and this or this. It's because for some reason, some people retain original memory as well as new memory. And that is a part of the science I can't explain. And I highly doubt even science can explain that. But
They're trying. They always want to try with the paranormal.
yeah, but let's go back to what we're here about, is the normal astral. And so when people experience sleep paralysis,
Hmm.
they are experiencing something or someone or some being entering their space with an agenda to do something. And what I mean by that is, so let's take, and I'm going to use the term abduction for this. So a alien race comes in and they're going to take you off world for whatever reason, to
Hmm.
either experiment or share knowledge. I don't know. But the act of getting you ready to go and accepting them there and going, you may be sitting there and going, okay, I'm ready, let's go. No problem. Now, let's say another person, they go in the room and they're like, hey, we're going to take you off world, we're going to share this experience with you. And they're like, oh no, I am not going. You can't force me to go. And they're like, well, actually, yeah, we can. They can paralyze your body and take you to whatever they're going, need for you to do. And that is sleep paralysis.
Hmm.
somebody else has taken control of the body, shut down the functions so that they can do whatever agenda they have for you that night. And shadow beings can do this too. And the point of it is we all think because, and I know this is going to get me in trouble. Again, this is my experience, my theory. If somebody comes and paralyzes me to where I can't move, next thing I know, I'm on a ship and I'm like walking around able to walk around the ship and see things around. I'm gonna be like, dude, let's rework this thing. You don't have to paralyze me to bring me on board. You're freaking me out and you're making people afraid of you by doing that. And that's the other thing is emotions are energy in motion. That is the definition of emotion in actuality. So when you think about it that way, so let's say Amanda goes and lays down
Mhm.
and she's like, I need to sleep. I had a long day. And somebody comes in and says, we're going to take you to do this. And Amanda's like, who the hell are you? How the hell did you get in here? She's entered fright mode. Her body will stiffen up and will become paralyzed because she is in extreme fright of like, who is here to kidnap me? What is going on? How did they bypass every security measure in the house of doors being locked from the inside, windows are all locked, there's no fireplace, chimney. So how did they get in? And that is a major cause of paralysis. You enter a fear state to where your body shuts down because you are so afraid until the experience is over and then it'll let go. And so to me, that is somewhat part of the sleep paralysis is that fear mode of who's here, what's going on. And I mean, let's be honest. If somebody came in your house, in your room while you're asleep, or even if you're awake, because sleep paralysis can actually happen when you're awake as well. It doesn't happen just at night, it happens in the daytime too. But you see a shadowy figure. Let's, go to worst case scenario here. So this shadowy figure looks like a military soldier. And you're like, and who's at war with me? What is going on? How is there a soldier in my house? They're not responding in English or to any language. And why is there no identifying marks, as to which, unit
Mhm.
or which, you know, faction they're with? Your mind is going to freeze up and be like, I can't explain this. I can't, there's no frame of reference. I can't help you with this. I can't take and say, oh, there's nothing to worry about. This person's been here before. So all's good. It has nothing to do and it has no way to explain what it's seen. And so it literally shuts down. Well, the body can't function without the mind.
Mhm.
So if your mind can't process what's going on, you're stuck. And so that's part of the scenario too is, you know, everything is tied together. So if you're afraid, your mind is, trying to process what you're afraid of, but it's also trying to process what it's seen and trying to process what's happening. It's got, it is a like supercomputer extraordinaire on a quantum level, but it still can be overloaded.
Mhm.
And so that to me is sleep paralysis is the mind is overloaded with either concerns you have of the day or something is going on. You're hearing something and you're afraid, or let's be honest, some people they could have watched a horror movie and then went right to bed and their brain is sitting there replaying the movie that they just watched and they were freaking afraid while awake. Well, guess what? In dream state, that dream is no longer looking at the screen and you're like, yeah, that's a movie. Okay, whatever. You are actually in the movie now. And so it is a next level experience. And so that's why you'll hear a lot of people saying, I can't watch this type of stuff before I go to sleep. Because that's exactly what happens. Your brain will recreate the scenario and put you in the scenario, and you will not sleep. So imagine, watching a horror movie where, let's say, here's a great example. You watched Friday the 13th. I think that's the one with Freddy, right?
J- Jason, Jason, yeah.
Oh, that's Jason? Then Nightmare on Elm Street. That's the one I'm
Yeah,
thinking
sounds
of.
like that's Jason, right? Yeah. Friday the
Yeah.
13th, that's Jason
So,
at Crystal Lake.
okay, yeah. Both are equally scary, but the point I'm making it comes from Nightmare on Elm Street. So you watch this horror movie about this guy who enters people's dreams and kills them in their dreams, scares them to death. Now you're going to sleep watching this movie about somebody affecting you in your sleep. Well, now you're going to start to witness somebody entering your space in your sleep, and maybe they are going to drag their fingers on the wall like Freddy. And you're going to be sitting there going, oh my God, Freddy's in my house. You may hear us, you may hear a creak in the floor because it's an old house, but your mind is going to go, oh my God, there's a footstep. Oh my God, Freddy's in the house. We're in Nightmare on Elm Street. Something's coming to kill me now in my dream. Well, guess what? You're actually making that a reality because you're in your dream state. And so you create your environment in your dream state. So if you create fear, your body's going to go into fear. Hence, you may enter paralysis. That's why you'll hear a lot of therapists when dealing with sleep paralysis are like, what concerns do you have in the day? What are your stressors?
Mhm.
Because all this pressure that you have on yourself during the day, your mind processes at night as well. So you don't get to, be like, oh my God, am I going to pay the bills? Oh my God, am I going to be able to do this? Oh my God, I'm supposed to meet this person I really don't like because, we agreed and I got to keep my word. And, so on. And then go to sleep and go, oh yeah, I'm going to be in this meadow with flowers and maybe there's a horse and we can go riding on the beach and, this great relaxing dream. Yeah, sorry, not going to happen. Your mind is going to sit there and go, so what can we do to help tomorrow this person wake up and not be so stressed about this?
Yeah.
Well, let's create solutions. Well, you're going to now dream of solutions and outcomes and scenarios. And yes, you're going to have a toss turning night because it's going to go from good to bad to good to bad. Well, depending on what you're stressing over, like, if you're one of those that you're like, oh my God, I'm like 2 months behind in rent. I still haven't gotten a job. Tomorrow the rent is due. Am I going to be on the street tomorrow? I don't know. Am I going to be, what's going to happen if I'm on the street? Well, guess what? Your dream state is going to be all the worst case scenarios and all the best case scenarios of you being on the street. You could very well end up being paralyzed in your sleep by the stress and fear of what's going to happen flooding in. And
That makes sense.
the body doesn't understand this isn't reality. This isn't a real state right now. You're not physically going through this. The body views it as energy, and the energy is, yes, the energy will become so thick and so heavy that the body can't move. That's what's really happening in sleep paralysis. The energies are so heavy you can't move, and the body is so out of sorts. You're basically almost like a mannequin just laying there and like, somebody needs to program me. I don't know what to do. I don't know. It's like a computer that's got that great blue screen that we used to always talk about, the blue screen of death. It's like, yeah, your mind gets the same way. It hits a certain point and is like, it'll crash. And the only fortunate thing is you're crashing either in sleep or sitting in a chair, not behind the wheel, I hope. And, you know, that it's a reality that a lot of people don't want to think about because we like to live in a world where when I dream, I can go and do this, and this is my escape from reality, not my I'm bringing reality with me and we're going to keep going. And that's where I think a lot of people get frustrated and end up in shadow zones a lot because they feel like there's no escape. And so that is prime targeting for any being out there that does looshing. And to explain, I'm going to take a tangent and explain looshing really quick. I know we're on astral projection, but looshing is a term where a being is siphoning energy off another being. And so if you are, let's say, a light worker, or you're doing all these positive things to help your community and everything, your energy is really high.
Mhm.
Somebody of low energy will sit there and go, well, why should I work on bettering myself when that person over there has all this great energy? I'll just take their energy. It feeds me, and there's an abundant source of people around here that are full of fear, full of anger, full of hatred, full of all these even love, can be loosed and fed on. And so people don't realize, oh, I need to shield myself from other beings. I need to cut cords from people. People are draining me without knowing they're draining me. Well, so yeah, so looshing is simply somebody is taking and you're feeding off of your energy. In the paranormal world, we could call that an attachment. or a succubi, or there's all kinds of
Energy
names,
vampire.
right? But in the end, that's that's the core of what they're doing. They're feeding off of you, and that's how they survive. And you're an unwilling participant because you're not cutting it off because you're too weak and you're not mentally thinking straight. So you don't realize what's going on until it's too late. And yeah, bad things can happen. So back to the positive side of astral traveling. Imagine, when we were growing up, looking at the stars, looking at planets, and thinking, and you would think to yourself, what would it be like to go there? What would it be like to be in space and to see the Earth from space? Well, if you leave your body and you are comfortable leaving your house and comfortable leaving the planet, you can look at the Earth from space. You can be amongst the stars. You can walk on other worlds, meet other light beings or other alien beings out there, and have these grand experiences. And there is a lot of talk in the metaphysical community and the paranormal community actually about how the earth realm is like a school. We're learning how to exist here. We're learning, who we are, what we are. But when you go in the astral world or the astral realm, this is the real world. We are doing everything we were born able to do freely there. And so there's talk of that's the real world. Here we're learning and we're going to take what we learn here into our travels. And so
Mhm.
that's something for people to think about. But I will say the question I get asked a lot is how did I learn to astral project? I'm sorry to say it just happened. I don't know what I did to do it. And there are a few people who naturally can leave their body and go somewhere. And yes, it is hard to explain to someone who's not a natural traveler to just separate yourself and go. It's like I and it gets a little frustrating cuz you want to be able to say, "Oh, you do this and you do this and then you'll be able to do this. This is how I did it." Well, you can't say to somebody, "I just closed my eyes and I was up in outer space," because they're like, "Well, that doesn't work for me." Well, that's how I did it, so I don't know. But I will say I have undergone listening to other people who astral project and listen to other people who access the astral realms naturally or through processes. And I will say one thing that seems to be key to both working is the term intention. And I know intention gets mentioned a lot and doesn't really get explained. And so, for a quick second, I will say intention is where you're putting your mind, energy, and body and everything into a solid thought form, and all your energy is going into that thought form to make it a reality. That is the easiest way I can explain intention. So, with that being said, let's say, because Amanda said she's struggles with astral travel, getting out of body. So I would say what I recommend for people is start small.
Hmm.
Visualize yourself with the intention of, I'm going to float above my body in my room tonight. And you get comfortable with that and and start moving yourself around in your room. Don't just float above your body and go all night going, okay, I'm out of body, I did it. It's like, no, that's just a small part. You got to learn how to move. Like, start in one corner, go to another corner, go look at the window, or go look at in the closet. Go move around, in other words, in your room. And as you get comfortable, then go, okay, what about the hallway? Can I get into the hallway and figure out how to move with or without opening a door into the hallway? In other words, so the first night is getting comfortable outside of your body in your room. And when you're comfortable, start moving around the house. Just don't go like tripping out the dogs or the cats, because they're going to wake everybody up and freak everybody out. Animals can see us in the astral. It is true. So when they're staring off, they're probably looking at a being or a loved one visiting, and they're trying to figure out how they're seeing them when they're not supposed to be around.
Hmm.
Then, you wake up next night, go, okay, play around the house and be like, hey, let's go check out the yard. And go, hey, can I float off of the ground? How far can I float up? How comfortable am I? Let's go into this tree. Hey, I'm standing on top of the tree. How cool is this? Oh, I wonder, what my friend's doing. Go visit your friend's house. Like I said, stay outside. Don't freak out the animals and freak them out either by, like showing up right above their head and being like, hey, are you awake? Here I am. But in other words, slowly just work yourself up and, be like, go to another country, go to, another place on the planet that you've always wanted to go to. Work yourself towards it. And the more you practice it, the better you'll get. And as for the naturals, we even practice. And, we're constantly practicing doing stuff. We don't just constantly hang our hat on our laurels and go, yeah, I can jump out of body anytime I want and go and do this. No, we have to work at it too. And so nobody is better than anybody else when it comes to astral traveling.
Hmm.
It's just some people are more adaptive to it. And so that's the difference. They're more open, so they adapt easier and they can go further. That's the only real difference. There is no, this person has 20 years experience hovering outside of their house where you have 2 days. Because, newsflash, if in 2 days you figure out you can go beyond and go into a neighbor's house where the guy that's 20 years is like, I'm hanging out in my backyard, you've kind of surpassed that guy in 2 days. It's possible. It's all on you and how you feel and how you are open to what you can experience. And one of the key factors of traveling is learning. You don't eat, you don't drink, you don't breathe. And so all of these things you have to be careful about, because if you spend, let's say, you go to sleep for 8 hours, 7 hours you're on the astral realm, you're going to come back to your body and all of a suddenly be like, why is my body tensing up? Oh, damn.
Mhm.
I got to go to the bathroom. I forgot about that. Why is my stomach growling? Why is my stomach in pain? Oh my God, I got to eat. I forgot about that. Oh, my throat is feeling parched. My body is feeling stiff. What's going? Oh, I haven't had water. So your body will forget over long periods of time of, being in the astral versus here, because you operate differently. So the things that make us human here don't happen there. So I know this is about to sound funny for a moment, but in the astral plane, there is no gas coming out. There is no burping. There is no eating, drinking, going to the bathroom, or needing to change clothes for anything. It is, everything is instant, and so it's just not a reality on the astral. But here on the earth realm, it is extremely, very precise and needed, and it can cause you sickness if you don't eat, drink, go to the bathroom. So it's a difference in the realities. And so you have to be aware when you come back, okay, I'm here on the earth realm. Gotta eat, gotta drink, gotta use the facilities. And one of the funny ones that I always often will do is, because I can travel by thought on the astral, I will go, oh, I have an appointment in 30 minutes. I need to go to, and I will go, and I'll stop, and I'll be like, oh, I gotta go get the keys. I can't travel by thought here yet. That's only over there right now. And so there are times that I will try to move like I do over there. And I'm like, oh, yeah, okay, let's go get in the car. Gotta take the car. But you will start to forget and be like, oh, yeah, this is how I travel. Oh, wait, no, Earth realm. Gotta use Earth tech.
In the Victoria era, Madame Blavatsky, the I don't know, Theosophy. I don't know why things are so hard to say right now. Talks about astral projection, thus and talks about the silver cord tethering astral body to physical body, which reminds me of the one time I almost astral project, and that was, and I know Michael's heard this story, but I was laying down and I finally got to the point where, because I was I practiced before on and off. And I finally got to the point where I think I was about to, at least, come out of my body. And if you split my body like down in half, the lower half felt extremely heavy, but it also felt like it had cords attached to my body still. And my upper half felt very light, like I was floating. Like I knew I can't, if you don't experience, if you never experienced it, you won't know what I'm talking about. I don't even know how to explain it, so it makes sense. But I could feel myself somewhat above my body, just, kind of still having those cords attached. But the reason why I did not fully is because once I, got to that point where I was kind of somewhat out of my body, I would see, and I tell people this, it's like for me, I am sensitive to like energy. So I would see these like beings in my apartment at the time, and it was They were hiding, but it looked like, but they were obvious that they were peeking out. Like imagine little kids when they think they're hiding from you, but you could see them peeking out at you. It was kind of like that, and I could not feel their energy. So I'm like, who is that? And my body dropped fully, and I was done. I was out of it, and I tried again. I got to that point where I was the exact same where I was. I looked over and I saw those people again, and I was just sure, obviously taken out of the my mind was taken out of it, dropped again. As I did, I tried to do research. Other people said they experienced them, and it's like, oh, you just kind of get past them. You're gonna see them when you come out of your body. You're gonna kind of have to get past them. Then you can just kind of move along to, where you want to go. They recommend obviously starting with places maybe not that far when you're first starting out. I'm like, but I was like, you guys never say who are those people? Do I talk to them? Are they good? Are they bad? And that's why it freaked me out when I first saw them. I didn't know if they're good or evil or what they were. Actually did not feel energy from them, and that freaks me out.
So chances are you probably there are watchers who they do exactly what they're called. They're watchers. They
Mm-hmm.
can't interfere, they can't intervene. So chances are you just witnessed a couple of watchers, but they're also though. So I'm going to point this out with the cord, because you brought up the silver cord.
Yeah.
There is, okay, in the metaphysics, there's a technique called cutting cords I mentioned earlier, where you sever all the cords that are attached to you from other people.
Mm-hmm.
You can cut every single cord, but that silver cord, even if you do sever it, it reforms.
Mm-hmm.
That silver cord never will truly be severed completely until you die. And so, if somebody cuts your cord, let's say, while you're traveling, you're going to freak out because you're like, oh my God, I lost my tether to my body. Well, in reality, if you wait a little bit, you're going to notice the cord actually didn't cut. It's still connected. You're still connected to your body. But because you thought you were disconnected, your body reacts as if it is disconnected and starts to feel a little off. So that's another case of, you have to watch your thoughts and watch how you're feeling. And I know it seems strange to, say to somebody who's in spirit form, watch your thoughts, watch your environment, because, you know, we're talking about acting like you're really aware and awake while doing this. Well, you are. And so there is, people though also that are out there that are there to help, and there are guides out there, and you have spirit guides or life guides or, you know totem guides, which could be animal form or human form. In other words, you always have somebody there connected with you. And so it could be also when you came out of your body, you witnessed your spirit guides or your guardian angels or your guides, so to speak. And no, they won't have an energy because they are as a guide. So here's the trippy part about guides. You think because you are sitting there and going, hey, I'm in a great mood. This person's in a great mood. They got to have great energy.
Mm-hmm.
Well, they're reacting off of you. They don't actually have energy. They're just reflecting you back to you. That's what a guide does. So they look like they have a lot high energy and are happy, but they're really just there. They're just showing you to help you understand where you are. And vice versa. If you're feeling upset or you're feeling sad about something, they're going to appear sad. And you're going to be like, oh my God, these people are sad. But you start to realize what, and you could start to look at them and go and smile. They start to smile. You can frown. They start to frown. It's like you're saying, they have no emotion. How,
Mhm.
what's going on? Are these for real? Well, they can't have emotion because if you come to them with the saying, "How do I do this?" and they're all and they're into emotions, you're not going to get what you need to do what you need to do. They're only there to be a sounding board for you to come up with the solution you need. So if you're upset about something and you're like, "Hey, I need help with this," and they're all smiles and going, "Oh, this is, what you need to do." You're going to look at me like you're full of crap. How the hell are you happy? Or, "Oh, you're upset too. See, I knew what I was thinking was bad. Oh my god, this is bad." And so you start to react off of them. That's why they don't have emotions, so they don't trigger you even worse.
What if people planned your near death purposely to cut that cord?
Planned a ne- What if people planned your near death purposefully? So are you so the wording's confusing me because if it's a near death experience, it's something. Are you talking about like you had a near death experience? So
Or
did they
someone
cut the
is, well,
cord?
I know, like, there's ways, like you said, to cut cords. What if someone else did something to try and cut cords with you?
So okay, so let's say Amanda and I high fived. We have cords connecting now.
Mhm.
The fact that we're on screen, we have cords connecting now. We have connection. When I end the show, or I end the show, so used to being the host. When Amanda ends the show, I can say, okay, sever cords with Amanda. It will sever all the cords. However, it will not sever my cord to the astral. It won't sever. I can't go over to her and sever her cord to the astral. That's only, it's not possible because the only way I could sever her cord to the astral or she sever mine is if she actually went through or I ended their existence in the astral. That's the only way the cords get cut because it
So,
can't return when there's nothing there. So
so
if
like if
someone's like poisoning you and you are like, may have a near death reaction from that, like the body shuts down from the poison and you're technically dead but come back. Okay, this is how this works. The physical form that you were when you died, yes, that cord gets severed. But when you wake up and you come back, the cord is instantly reconnected and you're able to astral. Now, this is where a friend of mine, Sheila Seppi, comes in, and it can be you returning, or it can be another spirit returning in your body. That's what's called a walk in which case you don't get a cord back to your body. Whoever's coming in now has a cord tethered to your body, and they become the primary. You're now the secondary. So, guess what? You've lost rights to your body because you agreed to let somebody else in and they permanently take over. That is possible. But if you die and you come back and you're first, your line is connected. So you're connected to the astral. And somebody else is like, hey, I want to experience a day. You're like, okay, they can use your body for a day, but they can't tether because you've already tethered, so they can't break your cord to be able to astral. They're stuck in the human form, and when you are done being out in the astral, you're totally able to go, hey, guess what, bud? Your 24 hours are up. You're gone, and they're gone. That, it's a misnomer for people, and they think that's multiple personalities is because you have all these walk-ins and everything that don't leave. It's not actually possible for a spirit to stay connected without an agreement. So if you say, hey, I have this aspect of myself that I created as a kid who kept me alive. They are tethered because they are you. They're sharing your tether, so to speak. So, yes, you will have two personalities. One can't control the other. One will only come in when it's his time. So, like, saying, for protection, let's say you were bullied. So you created a persona of yourself that is like stands up to the bully and doesn't take crap from anybody and fights back. Well, in your life, you're the pushover, but when somebody pushes too far in your life, you feel threatened, you snap. The other aspect takes over, and everyone's like, oh my God. That's how they exist. They're there, but only operational when the energy calls for it. The the misnomer is the protectorate energies of yourself aspect will take over all the time because it wants to be front and center. That's not a protectorate aspect. That's more of a center of attention aspect, and that's different. That's a different persona, and so you got to deal with these personas, these aspects that you've created of yourself. And so, yeah, I just realized we have gone on another tangent.
That's fine. It always happens. And obviously, 1970s, the CIA real declassified gateway process attempted to use audio tech to induce out-of-body states for intelligence purposes.
So I think they're trying to describe the remote viewing.
Yeah, they tried to obviously, and I've heard that's still around to this day. I mean, I can't prove it, Well, yeah, I can't prove it. There's not. I mean, I heard it rumored that they do have like people who are able to remote view. Obviously, they're. I think from my understanding, they're either keeping it secret or denying it. But yeah, they're still at least trying to do the remote viewing.
Yeah, there's remote viewing is a thing, and it is around, and I kind of do remote view. I've done it, but I really haven't. Like, I didn't do it, through the control aspects. It's more of somebody gave me a manila envelope and said what's in it, and so I tried to review what's in the envelope and share what I seen in the envelope. Well, the difference is I knew it was a picture of something.
Hmm.
So I knew automatically, like, numbers are out, you know, or, an old family photo ain't going to be in there, or, picture of a building or a painting probably ain't going to be in there. So it's like it kind of narrowed the scope before I even started, to where remote viewers, they are given a code, and that code, they go and say, what is this code? And then it's revealed, oh, this code stood for this. And people draw, like, let's say, for example, we want to remote view the pyramids in Egypt. And so I go, hey, Amanda, we're going to remote view 727 today. She
Hmm.
doesn't know what 727 stands for. I do. And so she comes back, and I say, okay, what did you get? And she's like, well, I saw the Sphinx, I saw the Giza Plateau with pyramids, and, and I saw, maybe, like a camel, for example. Well, congratulations, Amanda. You just remote viewed Egypt. That's how it works. They're given a code, and they focus on the code, and they share what they see around that code. The reason I say it's different from what I did is I, had magazine pictures, and I knew they were pictures from magazines because I helped my parents get the magazines out, and they would cut the images, put them in there. No, I didn't know what the image was, but I knew it was a magazine. So it's like when I'm looking at it, I had a different focus of, okay, what would be in a magazine? What type of magazine would they buy? Well, that eliminates these types of magazines, or sports magazines not going to be there, so it ain't sports. Okay. And so it's like my mind was already painting the picture before I even remote viewed what was in the envelope, because I knew parameters I shouldn't have known. That's the difference. And so true remote viewing, from everyone I've talked to about it, is you just give yourself coordinates, and you go and you look at these coordinates. Now, I know some people out there are going to say, well, what if you remote view a government facility? Well, I hate to tell you this, but if you put eyes on a government facility, you're most likely going to see eyes looking back at you, because they use remote viewers for security. They're not just there to spy on enemies and allies, because, yes, we spy on both. They are there to protect those secrets. Now, Willow Roots is asking, I think many people are breaking spiritual law with remote viewing. It's essentially surveillance, and we have to question privacy rights. So here's the thing: if I was to say remote view, I'm not going to go and say, Okay, Willow Root's creation. She's over there concerned about her privacy rights. What's she got to hide? Let's remote view her.
Hmm.
That's not remote viewing. Remote viewing is what is at this location, what is at this, these coordinates. They're more interested in what's like, what is near Grooms Lake or what is in Palo Duro, California, for example. They're picking locations. They're not picking people. So
Unless you're like a certain person of interest to them, but that it's
well, I'm
more
getting there.
likely it's yeah, no, or more likely
So
it's not going to be a normal person.
the average remote viewer is more interested in like remote viewing incidents in history, historical sites, or possible underground bases. So they're more focused on that. So if you're getting spied on, not a remote viewer like the average person. Now, there are the government agencies that have remote viewers, and I can guarantee you because I mentioned them and mentioned remote viewing in the same sentence, I probably have a set of eyes on me right now watching and saying, what is he talking about? What is he sharing? How much is he exposing? And so they will watch you and file a report of, is this person a threat? Is this person exposing something that we need to keep secret? So agencies and spiritual beings, yes, they do remote view people, but they're people who are of interest because of what they study or what they talk about. And so that's why. So Willow Roots, because you say you've been remote viewed, I would say yes, you probably have, most likely. So therefore, you can remote view and potentially block them from remote viewing you. And I know that sounds like, it's a battle of wills. Yes. So good luck with that if you try it. But the other thing is, if you're just, watching a show and, or watching a podcast and you're not really, you know, so to speak, disclosing anything, they're going to stop remote viewing you because you're not a threat. You're not a target to them. They're like, oh, she's watching a podcast. Okay. Never mind. Let her go. She's not a person of interest anymore. But yeah, so if you get remote viewed, if you feel like you're being watched a lot, look at what you're doing when that happens. And so that can key up what's going on because there is the fact of, because Amanda and I are talking about remote viewing and more me talking about it than she is, I probably have probably 4 or 5 sets of eyes on me right now and are like, how much does he know? Well, how much is he spilling? How much is he talking about this? Let's keep an, and I'll have eyes on me for days watching to see, what am I doing? What am I disclosing? What am I sharing? And so being heavily targeted, yeah, you might want to get a hold of some remote viewers that are more skilled at it and they can help you with techniques in blocking remote viewing. That actually is a thing. You can actually block from being remote viewed. I have talked to guests who have said they have done it. I don't know how they block the remote viewing, so I can't help you with being targeted by someone. And here's the other thing that we don't think about is you get in a relationship and you start to realize this person is like a narcissist or really controlling. You break it off with them. You think everything is done. They keep reaching out to you. They keep contacting you. Well, guess what? They may be remote viewing you, in which case they're still keeping tabs on you and trying to control you. That is a possibility too. It's not always going to be an agency doing it. There are other people that can do it and will do it for the wrong reasons. And so you have to be aware of that possibility and be open to that and not jump on the bandwagon of, hey, the government's spying on me. May not be. Maybe X that has too much abilities and doesn't know how to use them properly and is using them for the wrong reasons.
The government also would have, they really wanted to, they have so many different ways to spy on you and ways that they can actually like prove anything you're doing or saying or anything like that.
Oh yeah, and you'll have people on your doorstep. Yeah, that is a thing, and it may not be the Men in Black, but they'll probably be in black suits. So take it for what it is. But what were some of the other topics around astral that you were wanting to know? Did we cover them all, or
I know before you were mentioning there is like an if there's like I don't even know what you want to call them. Like if in the astral world, if you're astral traveling, there's like police.
oh, the Guardians? Yeah.
Yeah, I was like, I know, like, I was calling them police. I'm like, I don't know what they're actually called or what they do. So I remember we joked around about how there is like police in the astral world. I'm like, so wait, if I actually successfully astral project somewhere and I got the police, I was like, do I at least get a phone call? Do you get like a can I call you? Do you get like some mystical phone that appears in front of you, and it's me saying, "Hey, I'm in astral jail."
So okay. Oh, this is funny. So I don't know. Wow, actually, I don't know that I can say you can commit a crime in the astral realm, but yeah, you kind of do, and you can. And so, what will happen actually is there are. So, okay, let me paint this picture because this will make it make more sense because I'm like trying to wrap my head around it too. Is okay, I'm gonna borrow Amanda for a second. Hypothetically, people don't read into this. This is all conjecture and made up. But so Amanda goes into the astral plane. She goes over, let's say, to France and is walking through the Louvre. All of a sudden, she has these energy beings that appear and are like kind of chasing her and are pinning her up, into a corner and freaking her out. And it's like, she didn't do any crime, she didn't break any crimes. What's going on? But she's like, goes, I need help. what's going on, somebody help. So a being, maybe two, will show up and they kind of are cloaked, but when they assess what's going on, they may remove the cloak and reveal themselves as light. And they will take on whatever is chasing her. And, will be like, okay, you're, returning to source. You broke these rules. You weren't supposed to do this. Or another aspect is, so she's like imagining herself somewhere and something is trying to attack her, and something will appear and be like, okay, you are attacking her against her will, you are being removed and returned to source, is what happens. Yes, it kind of feels like, they're cops, or the guardian, they're guardians, but they're a race that is there to help people when they're in trouble. And so if you get in over your head dealing with something, you can call for help and they will appear. It may not be really fast, it may be, or it may seem like nobody's coming, but in reality, stuff is going on that you don't realize. Like they may be like about to lunge and then they turn around and leave. And you're like, well, I don't know what just happened, but nobody came to help me. I guess I got lucky. Newsflash, you didn't get lucky. It's whoever was helping you just didn't make themselves visible. They don't always show themselves. So the chances are there was somebody there who was like, you guys really want to mess with me right now? And they were like, nope, we're out of here. And you just think, oh, I got lucky. So there are forces that maintain the balance on the astral plane. If you are doing dark, you're going to deal with the dark coming back to you. It's almost like what we would call the karma here, where if you intentionally send out a harmful thought to somebody, it's going to come back in the astral to you 10, 20, 100 fold, depending on how much intensity you put into it. They'll determine that and respond in essence. So careful what you put out there. But if somebody does harm to you and you never, and you didn't do anything in response, and you go, hey, this person harmed me, I need help, they will actually help you by maybe even healing you and taking care of whatever it was. So that's how the balance is maintained. And your intentions can determine what happens. And I noticed Willow's asking, can you be killed or trapped in the astral? And I'm going to assume she's a typist like me, and that's why it says astral. It's yes, you can be killed or trapped in the astral. Hey, Sile. No worries. You know, this is a fun show. We're checking out Sile, so check it out if you're wanting to know about astral. We've covered a lot so far, but so you can be trapped in the astral. How it looks is you go into the shadow area. You get stuck in there because you are low on your energy And all of a suddenly, what it will look like is, okay, you went to sleep feeling on top of the world, and you wake up and you're like, well, today kind of sucks. Today is going to be a sucky day. You go to sleep, you wake up the next day, and all of a suddenly you're, you know, yesterday really sucked. Today, not looking any better, actually looking worse. Then it's, you go to sleep, you wake up, and all of a sudden you're like, no point in getting up. In essence, every day you get less and less will to live. To where one day you're going to wake up and you're going to be like, what's the point? There's no point in living. There's no, there's no point in anything in life. So why don't I just end it? And you either do or you don't. But what's happening there, because if you remember when we started, you were on top of the world. So all your friends and everybody see you as being on top of the world, to where now, it could be a matter of days or weeks or months or even years, depending on how long you're stuck and how it affects your energies and you respond to it. They start noticing a change in you to where you seclude yourself. You no longer are, active, and your entire persona has changed. You're not talking to anybody anymore. So basically, you've isolated yourself to just yourself, and you've let everything else go, including pets. That's the saddest part of the reality is, yeah, your pets will suffer because you have no care in you whatsoever, and it's getting lower and lower and lower to the point to where, yeah, there is no point, and you have a choice to make. And the point of that moment is, that's the soul taking its last measure and saying, okay, we have no point to live. Are we going to give up and this is it? This is how we're going out? Or have we found a reason to live? And if you found a reason because you're like, hey, I'm not going out like this, that's a legit reason. You will start to bounce back and get freed of this trap. But if you're not getting freed, then yeah, you may end up taking your own way out and giving up, and c'est la vie, so to speak. That's it. Sorry. And you get to reincarnate and come back. Um, okay, so
If someone harmed or kills you in the astral, is there justice, investigation? I guess, what does the Guardians do?
so okay. I love this question. So somebody kills me in the astral plane. Uh, Justice will be done. It won't look like, it's not like our justice here where we go into court. If you got a good attorney, you can get off. No punishment. Sorry, attorneys. You built that own reputation on yourselves, so deal with it. But you think you've gotten off scot free. Not actually true. Because what happens is, so I am no longer here. Somebody took me out. I face the fact that this person ended me. Okay. Now I go, so let me look at life. Here's what I've learned. Here's everything, that I've experienced, how it impacted everybody. Basically, like what we call in the metaphysics life review. Then I choose to come back or move on. I don't seek the justice for the person who took me out because I'm gone. There's no point. This is where the justice comes in. When that person is taken out or dies of natural cause, he goes into review. Well, he will experience what it felt like for him to take me out. Then he will experience what I felt being taken out. Then he will experience all the loved ones of the people who cared about me and are now sad that I'm gone. What he did impacting everyone around me. So that's the justice that I talk about for the astral and in the earth realm, that people, when they feel like the normal system fails you, the real system doesn't fail you. They will experience the act from their own perspective, from the victim's perspective, and from everybody around. And it could even include the witnesses that witnessed it. He can see their impact. And so and when I say witness it, I don't mean you're looking at a movie screen and you're just going, oh, damn, he's got a scared face on his face, or, oh, he doesn't look happy that, he's being taken out. No, you get the visual, you get all the feelings, the emotions, the energies, you get it all slammed into a nice little bundled package. And so you feel everything. So you not only feel yourself going, oh my God, it was an accident. I feel so guilty. Yeah, you may. But now you're going to be feeling like, oh my God, this person was like so, is so needed in the world and I cut it short. It's like it's going to intensify because you're feeling what everybody's feeling and thinking around that person. So, about beings that do not have feelings, like no empathy, a psychopath, a narcissist. Newsflash, that's only on the earth realm. When they part over, they're going to have the feelings. Everybody gets the feelings. Nobody escapes that. So you can think yourself in the earth realm and going, oh, I'm above this. I've escaped this. And I'm so cool because I don't have to worry about this because I don't feel remorse for any of this because I got off. I'm not guilty of nothing. You pass on, yeah, you're going to see, feel, and experience everything just like everybody else. Except it's going to be even more traumatic, I think, because so Amanda and I, we have emotions. We're, already feeling something from this event. So in the review, we are understanding what we're feeling. We're, like, yeah, this is horrible. Oh my God. Yeah, I feel even more so because of this. But yeah, that's the power of this emotion. That's the power of this human experience. The person that has no emotion in the event, when they start to feel the emotions, it's going to be like a trauma to them because they have no understanding of what they're feeling. they're getting hit by emotions. And think of it this way: take a computer and you program the computer to say a flower blooming equals happy. A flower wilting away means sad. Flower, breaking means angry. Well, that only knows what it's been programmed to know. You start filling it full of, like, oh, somebody handed you a bouquet of flowers. What the hell does that mean? It doesn't know. It's like, what? Why is there a bunch of flowers here? One flower is happy. Multiple flowers, what? Is this happy times 10 or 12? It doesn't grasp what emotion is there. So it's going to go into trauma because it can't explain what's going on. And yeah, that is a trauma loop. They are stuck trying to figure out what they're feeling because they don't know what they're feeling. So if somebody it's so let's put it this way, another way to look at it. So you have somebody who's been living a life where they feel like an indentured servant. Everything's been handed to them. They only get things when they meet certain criteria and do certain things. You then take the person that's overseeing this other person out of the picture, and you go to that little person and you say, okay, you're free, go. They're not going to know where to go. They're not going to know where to, go get a meal or go get clothes or go to school or go to learn anything. They only know their existence in that place from that person. So they don't understand freedom, what it means to be free. Now you can take somebody who has been, given certain things to where you can go to school, you can go to a restaurant, you can go buy a car or live in a house. But you take away the job that provides that and you say to that person, now you're free. They're not going to know how to live either free because their freedom came from their job providing means that gave them the sense of freedom. So that's where, when we say, we are free, how do we know we're free?
Mhm.
Everybody has their own definition. Nobody's right or wrong because we have no real definition because it's an ideal. And so that's where the trauma loop comes in, is because they don't know what they're experiencing. They don't know what they're feeling because they've never been exposed to it. And so it's overloading their system. What's Willow saying now? Like prison here on Earth, it should be a rehabilitation. Yes and no. See that's the thing is, when we get into the legal system here on Earth, it works, but it doesn't work because if it worked, we wouldn't have two Pete, three Pete's, the three strikes you're out rule. It would be a one in, you're out, you don't commit a crime. So something is going on that they keep committing the crime. So rehabilitation doesn't work. But are they committing different crimes? Well, yeah. So, maybe, the rehabilitation works that they're no longer in the major crime. They're now committing smaller crimes. Problem is they're still committing a crime though. So does the rehabilitation work? Not necessarily. But there are also occasions to where somebody goes in the system and they go, hey, what I did was wrong. I need to change my, circumstances, change my life. They get educated. They go to the library. They go and get a degree or a diploma, graduating while in prison, to where when they come out of prison, they're a working member of society. Well, the problem with that is he's got the stigma or she's got the stigma of being in prison, so nobody's going to hire them right away. They have to work in a system that the employers know they're from the prison system, been rehabilitated. So there's a stigma of, are you going to be treated well in the workplace? Probably not. And so you're going to, get pushed possibly back to committing a crime and going back because you get treated better in jail. Or, there are people who rise above and start to mentor other people, and they're turning their, what happened to them to a good thing, and more power to them. So you can't really say one system works for all. There is no rehabilitate them all and they'll all be better. It doesn't work that way. Everyone's an individual. So we need to lose the reality of what works for one works for all, because we're not in that kind of world anymore. And she says the punishment, shame, blame, isolation just feeds the loop. It can. And the problem with that is, like I was saying, is it may not be from them. It's from everybody on the outside judging them for what they did and not moving on. And so that's the dilemma. So but the astral plane, when we are in the astral plane, we are under a different set of rules. We're not under earthly rules. So concepts that work here on earth don't work in the astral. Like if you are standing in front of a Martian on Mars in the astral plane and somebody steals your candy bar, you're not going to go to a phone, call 911 and say, hey, this alien being stole my candy bar, and someone's going to come and arrest that being. Sorry, not how it works. You either stand up for yourself and take your candy bar back, or you learn don't take a candy bar to Mars because the Martians will steal your candy. Either choice is the right choice and it's up to you, but just know you're not going, and you can't sit there and really go and say, hey, I have a wheelbarrow full of candy on Mars and it was stolen. Where are the guardians that are, supposed to protect me? It's like, hey, dumbass, you're the one who took a wheelbarrow full of what you already knew they were going to take. So that's your own fault. So good luck with that. No, they're not going to come to help you with stupidity. That's the fun thing of the astral is you be stupid, you're on your own. They ain't coming.
Yeah. Well, Michael, it was a pleasure having you on. We're going to end this for here. If you guys want to see him back on, definitely either like message me on Facebook, drop a comment on the YouTube, or even Phantom Navigator podcast at gmail.com. Send me an email. I'll see what he has available, which, like I said in the very beginning, he is so busy. So we'll try to get back on for either to continue this, or we'll look into a deep dive in another one of his many knowledgeable subject that he knows about.
Well, I will say you give me a notice, I can make it happen. I will
All right,
come on your show
well,
anytime you ask me to.
we'll definitely have to make this again. So we will see you next time. If you guys want to know what scientists and doctors are saying about astral projection, check out my podcast show right before this. That kind of just goes into that, what scientists, doctors, how they think they can explain it, because scientists always want to try and make sense of anything paranormal, which not everything can make sense, but
Yeah.
that's just scientist talk.
So
All right.
I will just say this for you, Amanda. You did a great job. Great show.
Oh, thank
I had a
you.
great time, so thank you so much.
Thank you. All right, thank you. Thank you again for being on. We'll definitely do this again soon. Everyone else, thank you so much for joining. Thank you so much for listening, and we'll see you next time. Bye for now.